Hello, hello, everybody. How is it going? I'm hoping we have no technical issues today. My computer's been a little all over the place, but I'm feeling good about it. Hoping we don't have anything that we're going to be experiencing. Thank you for joining me. I always get excited when I get to do these leading in the moments with Geronda segments. And so, welcome to Leading in the Moment with Geronda. In this segment, if you're new and if this is the first time that you're watching, I go through different ways that leaders can leverage DEI data and ask the right questions so that we can provide more psychologically safe spaces. So I give different insights, articles, resources, things that I think will be helpful for leaders in building those inclusive spaces and psychologically safe spaces that I know we are all able to do effectively. So I'm John DeWallach Spiller. I am the CEO of Courageously Inclusive Leadership, and I'm going to bring you a topic today that is really has been dear to my heart. Psychological safety is super important to me, and this particular segment is even more important to me as part of that as well, and we will get to that in a moment. But first, if you are watching live, I'd love for you to put live in the chat. If you are watching replay, please also put replay. Thank you, Gabriel. Good to see you here. Gabriel is fantastic, by the way. Gabriel Galdamez. Awesome. I hope I said your last name right. I hope I did you justice. So now what I like to do, if you are tuning in and you've been here before, I like to ask a question of the day to break the ice, break things up before I just go and jump into the topic. And so the question I have today is, what is something that you're looking forward to? Something you're really excited about that you're looking forward to? And I'd love for you to put that in the comments or in the chat, wherever you are watching from. And something that I'm really looking forward to, and I'm going to shout her out. And she always says, "You always have to talk about me on your lives." And yes, because she is fantastic. It is my spouse, Michelle. She cut my hair today. She gave me a nice shaped haircut, and I'm really looking forward to my natural hair journey and getting my hair in a place that is rejuvenated. We're starting fresh, having a nice, healthy look and growing my hair back. So I think this is going to be really exciting. I've been wanting to go natural for a long time. I do love and miss my braids, but I'm really excited about this new journey. So I'm looking forward to doing that as well. So tell me what you're looking forward to, or something that you're looking forward to, whether it's the next couple of days, next couple of months, maybe next year. I'd love to hear from you as well. So now going into the topic that I have for you today, the topic is really about moving from intention to impact. And this is really important because we there's a lot of strategy or a lot of comments or things that leaders say where we strive to be different. We strive to provide equitable opportunities, and we strive to make this culture very inclusive for those that are from different historically marginalized communities. But what is really challenging about that is when you strive to do something, it's going to be much harder for you to then get outcomes from it. It's almost like performative in a way. When you're striving for something, yes, you're not going to be able to achieve every single thing out there in the world that can be combated. But in your organization, you know that you can make an impact and set really great outcomes towards or even for an inclusive culture. So I think we need to start removing the word strive, and we have to start putting in commit and setting accountability structures so that we can actually achieve the things that we are going to be achieving as leaders in our organizations. So I want us to kind of remove that word strive and put more accountability on ourselves as leaders by sharing commit. So if you're with me and you agree to that, I want you to put commit in the chat or in the comments wherever you're watching, because it is incredibly important that we move to that. Now, intent versus impact are also really important distinctions that we need to cover. Intent is similar to strive in a way where we're saying we have a feeling or we want to do something. We're not sure how to do it, but we intend to maybe do it in a certain way, or we intend to do it at some point in time. Where impact is more so about how are we going to take what we want to do, measure it effectively to make it into an outcome that impacts every person of different identity across the organization in a way that makes sure that we feel we are being trusted by literally everybody. So um, it's also highlighting just different ways that well-intended initiatives fail, because when we're well-intended, when we're not measuring and we're not trying to think of those tangible impacts and outcomes with data and other things that really show how much we are making that impact, that's where intention just becomes performative. We're just saying things because we want to intend to do it, but then we let all of these different organizational priorities get in the way. We let our organizational structure continue to be siloed. We don't look at how the impact of what we want to do is truly going to bring us the outcomes that we need. So that's really important to distinct. And accountability has to be there. Now, accountability can't just be you have to do this. We need tangible evidence to show what the the impact is going to be if we are not holding others accountable. So it's really having that clear accountability structure so that we can ensure our initiatives are not performative any longer. So here are some strategies that I'm going to share with you that are helpful to keep top of mind for ourselves as leaders. And I say top of mind for a very, very minute amount of time because we need to put this into action. We can no longer just say we're going to do these things and then not actually do it. So, here are some strategies that I find will be very helpful. First is you need to create a clear vision and strategy. Using words like we strive or we are emboldened to, we want to be, we we believe we can be helpful. But what do you want to be? What can you be? What do you know you are, and where do you need to go from there? So think about um, that clear vision and aligning it to your organizational goals. What happens a lot for leaders is we have all these different priorities that we have to focus on. We have different parts of our organization where we need to provide resources and support, and whether it's monetary, whether it's other things. And so we don't really know how do we navigate and incorporate all of these different DEI, our DEI strategy, vision, our initiatives into what we have in our organizational goals. So, an effective strategy might be you are looking at performance management and you want to start looking at who's going to be in different leadership roles based on their performance, their experience, what have you. Now, if an organizational goal is to increase representation of, not even increase representation, take that back. If a goal is to ensure or to reach 15%, have 15% more underrepresented vendors across our organization and our pipeline, then you want to be able to provide an opportunity to have your organization reflect those vendors to then provide better opportunity. So maybe you want to look at and include more opportunities for those that are historically marginalized or underrepresented, like women of color, people of color, LGBTQ, uh, Hispanic, Latinx, all of these different identities, and make sure that they are in those leadership positions, or at least in that possibility of a leadership position in that pipeline, and not just someone that you know or have had a lot of experience with who was a friend of a friend that was brought in. So ensuring that there's opportunity for everybody to be able to move up into leadership roles that would then also, be helpful to represent those vendors that you're looking for and provide that additional perspective for you to bring in people of those different backgrounds. So there's ways to align it to these different strategies. And the biggest important piece is that every employee of every background because we always think of race and gender, but it's also things like neurodivergency, disability, socioeconomic status. And we need to start doing metrics and data to understand how much do they trust leadership and how much they feel leadership is held accountable. So have that clear vision and strategy for how you're going to align the DEI initiatives, the DEI strategy to your organizational goals. You also have to foster psychologically safe practices. And a way to do that is you have to hear the good, the bad, the different. You have to be comfortable with hearing that a certain segment of employees does not feel that they are being heard by leadership or taken seriously. And taking that as feedback to ensure I might need to do things differently so that I can better support this group of people. Because there really is not psychologically safe spaces or trust if not everybody across the organization is trusting to leadership. And I want to also clarify that leadership is not just the C suite. Leadership can also be directors, VPs, MVPs, however you designate leadership for people, managers across your organization. But it's really at the top to set that example and how things should be done and setting those clear structures for accountability, as I was mentioning, that really are going to lead to less performative DEI structures. So everybody needs to feel valued and heard for you to be able to provide that inclusive culture. Also, the last strategy is leveraging your data and your metrics. So, data driven DEI initiatives are where you get outcomes. We can't just say, well, we're going to put on a training on unconscious bias. And that training is going to be for 1 hour. We're going to bring in a trainer or a facilitator, and they're going to train our organization on how to be more inclusive and mitigate their bias. But what you need data and you need metrics is how are they retaining the information? How are they using the information? Where's the accountability when they are biased towards certain people? Also, how are you tracking how many people have taken the training? How are you ensuring that what they have learned in the training is implemented? And how often are we putting structures in place across all aspects of our organization to ensure that unconscious bias is part of everything that we do? And what does the data show in terms of that? Maybe it's engagement surveys, which is part of it, but maybe it's having more focus group discussions and conversations, having that dialogue to say like, I don't feel that we are in a good place because I was someone that was something was said to me that was a microaggression, or something that was said to me that made me feel like I'm lesser than across my organization. So having those measurements that impact the progress that's being made is really important. And some practical steps that I think is going to be really helpful is really engage employees at all levels in DEI efforts. It can't just be that leadership gets training on unconscious bias because they have caused harm. Yeah, that's helpful or important, but what about the rest of the organization so that others are not causing that harm? And how are you comparing things like engagement survey data or other data points to show that feeling heard and feeling valued is something that has gone up, if that's something that is a lower percentage across your organization? Continuous learning and development. It's not only just waiting for training to happen at your organizational level, but doing education on the history, the structures, where your organization is, and understanding the different people that are impacted across your organization. Now, it's helpful to go into a lot of different areas, but what's most helpful is knowing the makeup of your organization as it is in that moment. Not everyone's going to share about themselves. Not everyone's going to say that they are neurodivergent or trans or black or non binary or a lot of different identities, but the makeup of what you have available to you and understanding where the gaps are, that's where your learning can begin to really make that progress, ensure people feel valued. No longer can leadership, or can we be leaders where we go in and we try to just drive sales or try to drive revenue. Yeah, an important part of our job, but without the integration of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion on all of those different things, it makes it really, really challenging to do that right. And we see that a lot of organizations are laying people off. And I really truly believe and I stand behind the fact that revenue or the impact of that is a couple of things. It's the backlash of DEI out there, which is a whole other topic that we can talk about. But it's also not leveraging the right progress and measurement and impact that your diverse workforce could have on the organization, and just going after things like revenue and targets and not tying it all back together. So long term change is a significant commitment that is important. And it's one of those things that I cannot stress enough of how important the continuous progress, the challenges, the understanding, the learning, the building trust, the measurements, the outcomes are going to be on your organization. So my call to action to you, now there's key points here, is have a clear vision, have an inclusive culture through psychologically safe practices. Use data driven approaches to continuously see, is my vision aligning to business outcomes? Is this culture valuing the opinions of everybody? Does everyone across the organization, across all these different identities, trust leadership and the organization? Am I using data to determine these things? Am I looking at things like employee engagement and continuously learning, not only for myself, but setting that as a commitment for my organization? And looking at this as more of a long term commitment instead of striving to do something that is performative. So, my call to action that I'll finally give to you is assess your current DEI efforts and those areas of improvement for the organization and for you as an individual. And take that immediate action and really commit to real impact. Stop trying to be performative and wonder why initiatives aren't working, and then letting go your entire DEI team. Start focusing on the data and the outcomes that you are getting, what you need and what is missing. Listen to your employees, listen to your team, really evaluate how much trust and empathy and psychological safety is there. And there are ways to do this. I promise you, there are ways to do this. I can help you figure this out. But my call to action is really start looking at your current DEI efforts and really those areas of improvement based on what I mentioned. Is there a clear vision? Does it tie back to our organizational goals? How are we measuring the outcomes of these initiatives? Let's focus on how we can do this better. And let's just stop saying that we're going to do DEI differently or strive to be different in the organization or look to make different changes, and really listen to your employees before you just put a flat out no to resourcing, initiatives, things that are really going to help your organization. And so, with that, start building those accountability structures, start focusing on psychological safety, start looking at more data, and most importantly, make this a place where you are empowering employees to do things differently, and that this is a long term commitment. Commitment being the big word that you are going to make tangible outcomes for. So that's what I have for you in terms of really effective, helpful leadership strategies that are going to get you in a place where you're moving from your intention of providing these different levels of support, or your intention from moving to an inclusive culture, and just making tangible outcomes and impact for your organization and everyone that is included. So thank you so, so much for joining me. I appreciate you being here, for leading in the moment with Geronda and talking through just moving from intention to impact and strategies that leaders can start to navigate to do this effectively and do this well. If you have questions, want to reach out, want to learn more about this, my email is courageously inclusiveldr@gmail.com. And I will see you at the next Leading in the Moment segment that is taking place in August, on August 7th, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll have a new awesome, meaty topic. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Have a great evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you're tuning in from. And I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.